I was at the funeral of 2 young men that got killed in Talladega just a year ago. I was actually the one that was running the film, the clips of video on the television screens, showing their life. And on one of the funerals, it really touched me because it showed the young man playing basketball, some video clips, and he had so much promise. And when you look at that, it's a shocker, right? Because it's unnatural to see somebody that young whose life is cut off so soon. And so people are just confused, right? They're in a state of shock. And a lot of times you can't go with them and just say, it's gonna be all right, and then we pray about it. But that shock is still there, So it's hard. It's tough having those conversations with those individuals because they're really sick of it. A lot of times they're not a part of the solution, but they're tired of the problem.
Welcome back to another Barbers Against Bullets podcast with the Agency for Substance Abuse Prevention. I am DeMarco Curry, a prevention specialist at the agency. I've been working there 2 years, and I'm here with
Reverend Eugene Jacobs, the faith-based support specialist ambassador at the Agency for Substance Abuse Prevention, and I've been an employee of ASAP for a year.
So, of course, we have BAB, Ballers Against Bullets, Barbers Against Bullets, where we are empowering our barbers and our athletes to better, address the intersection of substance misuse and gun violence. Starting that conversation like you mentioned, because, the right conversation can change the mindset of anybody. But we also have the comic book coming up, the Ballers Against Bullets comic book, where we actually, wrote this thing out on how, to solve an issue. I won't get too detailed with the things that's going on in the comic book, but I think it would be a great comic book for our individuals, especially our young people, to kind of see how things can go in a right way. Things can be handled in the right way, so that it can benefit not only you, but your society, your community, and things of that nature. Because when somebody dies, it don't just hurt the family, it hurt the community.
That's right.
So we're trying to get to a place where the community is involved and feeling that empathy and that sympathy for this issue that's going on in our communities.
Absolutely. So you are trying to have that conversation, and you're shaping it in a way that our young people can understand what's going on and be prepared for it. You're not just dealing with the violence itself, but you're dealing with conflict.
Because that's the root of it.
We don't know how to have relationship with one another anymore. Conflict resolution, it means nothing to us anymore. Back in the day, you didn't hear about people just shooting one another. We were talking earlier about going to a popular hangout spot in Talladega, skating rink. And a lot of times you hear about the fights that will break out at the skating rink, but you didn't hear about people getting shot. Why? Because we learned conflict resolution from a generation who had to live that thing out through the civil rights era. They had to learn how to take an insult. They had to learn how to take a beating and keep smiling and keep going. Those are the people who trained us. But it seems like nowadays, because we don't have to fight that battle, we've lost the ability to resolve differences between each other. That's why so senselessly you'll see somebody get killed because they were flirting with a girl that was somebody else's girlfriend.
That's deep, man. That conflict resolution piece. I think a lot of our youth don't have that at all. And then the majority of them are raised by a single parent mother, and they talk about the mother and how they handle their issues.
Right.
Not all women are the same, but a lot of times when that young man seeing their mother act out in that way, that's the only way they know how to handle it with their emotions. So they don't have that proper mindset to navigate through or work through the emotions that they feel. And then a lot of times what we don't talk about is the person that's pulling the trigger. The one, we talk about the one that passed, but we don't talk about the one that got incarcerated, 20 plus years. So that's another life that's lost, that's a lost cause to society. So we have to get to the point where we're not only just addressing those that that are passing away, but we are addressing those ones that's actually pulling the trigger.
Absolutely.
Because we all still have a part to play in society, especially if we're living. You know what I'm saying? Like, how do we reach that individual that pulled the trigger, that made that wrong decision, that made that mistake? He didn't wake up and say, I want to kill somebody.
Right.
Don't nobody do that. But there's something in the soul of our young men that's one, they say it's a lot of bloodshed that has happened. So it has to go back to that spiritual aspect of forgiveness too, because if you look at Birmingham, they up to like 140 some killings. It's almost a war up there. You know what I'm saying? But it's really unforgiveness because, hey, he killed my homeboy.
Right.
Now I got to kill his homeboy. Now it's just retaliation. So how do we, insert conflict resolution into something like that?
Well, it starts with not sheltering our children anymore. A lot of times I hear it in my generation and the generations coming up that we don't want our children to be exposed to the hardships of the previous generations, and we give them things and we shelter them from conversations that need to be had. It's almost like we want to put this nice little padded environment around them and think they're just going to stay in this little padding, and we don't talk about the real issues that are out here. Right? It's amazing to me. It really touched me. Last night I was reading an article. 15-year-old student at Appalachia High School. By the way, our sympathy and condolences goes out to those kids in that community. But a 15-year-old young lady was in the classroom, and she texted her mother that there's a shooting, and her teacher got shot in front of her, and she was telling her mother, I love you. It's like, it's crazy that she had to live that she had to ready her mind at 15 years old that I could be next. But do we have those conversations at home?
And a lot of times we leading our lives with what we feel, our emotions. And I always say, a lot of times, man, these kids be literally a product of their environment. You go to school, the coolest thing now is to tote a gun. Whereas with us, it was to dress up, be mannerable. But now it's like, hey, if you got a gun, man, you cool. I even go far to say, I done heard youth, because I worked at the Juvenile Detention Center for 2 years, hearing them say, you cool or you get respect if you take a life, like that used to hurt me. And they'll be behind the bar 15, 16 and okay with laying their life down. You know what I'm saying? Because they know they're young enough, so they'll get out eventually, but they'll have that respect, or what they say, stain, when they get out because they done took a life. And I think we have lost the morale, the respect for life, especially, the young people. So we're just trying to get our young people back engaged and, fulfilled with life again, man, because, it has love, through the music, the movies that we see, all of this stuff is imprinted upon them. And, they don't fear the police. They don't fear going to prison. They don't fear 20 years. They don't fear the judge. Whereas with me, hey, I didn't look, when the blue lights came on, I'm getting out of there. I wouldn't, I wouldn't stun no police. And like that was a healthy fear there. So it was like, I'm not throwing my life away like that. But now, it's no healthy fear there no more. They don't fear anything.
So what you explained it to me really sounds like culture. You talked about the music, the media, and all those things form our culture. And I like to say that culture begins with the spread of information. We can see over the decades how things have changed with the different information that's been released to our public. What can we do to change the culture?
I think it goes back to conversation. We need to have these hard, critical conversations about the effect that these things are having on our communities.
Absolutely.
That's it. Well,
Marco,
thank you.
It's good chopping it up with you.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you.